And so one thing I write about is there are all of these amazing organizations and companies now that are focused on enabling companies to hire based on potential, not based on experience. And these are tech-based tools, which did not exist 5 or 10 years ago. One is called Pymetrics. And what they do is they effectively give people games, or what are really tests, to see what they're going to be good at, what they will be good at. And back to the growth mindset and hiring, what matters, especially for people in the first 15 years of their career, is far less what internships they did in college, and far more what they have the potential to learn. We know that upskilling is essential, but I would say that we are living in a time where people have to constantly be learning. The skills you have after 3 years in the workforce are not going to be what you do 15 years later. What's most important is your ability to keep learning and learning different and new skills, rather than just be good at that one thing that you know right out of the gate. And that's why I think that it's so important to think differently about hiring and shift the focus to the potential to learn for this world where everything's going to be changing always, rather than where you are now and who you have been in the past, because that's going to have to change as well.
Julie, you're definitely an optimistic person, and this book is a very upbeat book. I mean, it's factual, it's inspiring. Tell me about your thoughts about the future. I sometimes I look around at I don't know if you have kids. My kids are like in their mid-20s, and I look at their generation. It's a nicer, kinder, more diverse generation than mine. I'm on the tail end of the baby boomer generation. And that gives me it gives me optimism for the future. I do see there are a lot of changes happening in the workforce, not just with women, but diversity in general. But I just feel like, this stuff's it's going to take time before it changes. And I'm curious what you see the future being like. Do you see a future where, women, will be receiving the same amount of venture capital funding that men do, and are running the same number of companies and have the same type of opportunities that men have in this world?
I am optimistic. I'm hopeful. My kids are a little younger. They're 8 and 11. And from their perspective, they don't understand. And I've obviously talked to them a lot about my book and all the research and stories, and they don't understand some of these gender gaps. They don't make sense to them. The fact that things have always been done some way doesn't make sense that it should continue being that way. If you're talking to an 8-year-old, why think, you have the same cycles perpetuating. So I am fundamentally optimistic, in large part because of all the data indicating that diversity is better for business. Period. So that's the main source of my optimism.